Okay. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, all higher praise, honor, glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to the elders, sing honors to the apostles, preaching and teaching this word of truth and with sincerity as always. Without any further ado, I just want to get into this lesson. So I got some videos that I want to play.
Doug Lloyd's office.
It's like about my last video. Yeah, I was on me because I accidentally recorded without turning on the audio. Or maybe that was Esau fucking with it, I don't know, but either one. Let's check this video out here. It's Jake is getting judged out here. Let's see this here.
Bet on red or black or odd or evens that
We got this video that I want
Ready to
play.
take that MGM for a spin? Download now.
Just gonna wait for this to load.
Now to a developing story we've been following in Grand Rapids, where police are still searching. Now to a developing story we've been following in Grand Rapids, where police are still searching for a suspect after a deadly overnight shooting on the city's east side. 13 Sergeant Lauren Baker is live in Grand Rapids, giving us the very latest on this incident. Lauren, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, Deja, about an hour ago, we learned the identity of the victim. Family telling me he was a sweet and loving young man. If you're looking at your screen right now, this is a picture of Antone Goodman Jr. He is a recent Charlottesville high school graduate. In that picture, he's with his niece, who his family says he loved, and he loved everyone in his family, and classmates really respected him. He tragically died last night after a shooting on Plymouth and Mason. Now, along with him was another victim that was shot. Both of the victims were found in the vehicle, and the other victim was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Right now, police are still searching for a suspect, and we're hoping to speak with Police Chief Joe Trigg later on today to hopefully learn more details. As soon as we learn those details, we'll be sure to let you know. Reporting live here in Grand Rapids.
So this Jake got judged here, man. The Lord judged his ass. And it's like I gotta say it that way, but that's just how we speak. That's just how the prophets. This is just how we speak. I mean, we're as austere men. You know, Paul was an austere man, so I mean, if you get emotional about that, it's just your own way of going about it. I don't know what to say. I mean, it is what it is. As the scriptures say, and to the brothers, man, that's why, and to myself, that's why we're thankful for this truth, because ultimately us as the prophets, if Lord's gonna have mercy on us, on the elect right now, he's having mercy on us, so these things don't have to happen to us. And we don't have to. I mean, we still worry, we're still in the flesh, but and this also humbling as well, to humble us down. The Lord may put us in a situation where we could have almost gotten in an accident or something like that. But for the most part, ultimately, really, the Lord ain't gonna just do us like this. He ain't gonna allow a bullet to just hit us like this. Because if we're seeking Him and we're sincere and we're really of the elect, Lord willing, then the Lord's gonna look out for us. And that was an Israelite. That was a Jake. From the looks, looking at the picture, judging off the appearance, that was a Jake, Judah, Israelite. Amos 3 and 7. Surely the Lord did nothing, but he revealed his secrets unto the servants, his servants, the prophets. So these are secrets being revealed. And it's up to our people to believe them. But if they don't believe him, well then they're ultimately going to get judged. Now, that dude, Antoine, I think his name was, I mean, rest in peace to him. I mean, he's in the spirit world now. He's in his right full mind right now. Ultimately, he got ultimate mercy from the Lord, because compared to the times we're going to come into, that was actually mercy from the Lord that he got. I mean, his family's probably sad about it, but I mean, us as the prophets, we don't fear death. Death doesn't make us sorrowful. Scriptures also talk about mourn for the dead, but a couple of days mourn for the fool all his life. If you understand that dark saying there, that's from Sirach. Dark sayings, the scriptures are written in dark sayings and parables, riddles, similes, metaphors. Majority of the book is the scriptures. I hope this thing starts working again, Lord willing. I don't know. But going back to Amos 3 in the KJB. Going into verse 2, you only have known about the families of the earth, therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. And that Jake there, he got punished. That was the judgment. Anything that we go through that's not good, that's not very pleasing or blessed in the likes of blessings, it's because of our punishment. We shall bear the indignation of the Lord, for we sinned against him. That's in brothers can put that down. I don't know. I don't remember. I should know that off top, but I don't. But yeah, that's in the scriptures there. You can even go to Google and roughly paraphrase it, and it'll pop up if you want to find that scripture. But Colin, man, and this is also falling in line with the curses. And also it says in Ezra, it says in the book of Ezra, I believe. Yeah, that's in the book of Ezra, that ultimately the Lord ain't punished us as our deeds truly do deserve. Because we really do deserve punishment, and ultimately that comes from the Lord, his patience, his forgiveness, his mercy. That's all emotions that we didn't make that, we didn't create that. That's all comes from Yahweh. So whenever you have patience, whenever you have mercy, that's what the Lord already felt from the beginning, and a thing he created from the beginning of time. So that's why the Lord will have mercy, and when it punishes our deeds, is there really that brother Antoine there, a young black man there, he had his life ahead of him, and rest in peace to him. He really deserved the death. He really deserved even more worse than death. Even myself, we all deserve to be put to death, basically. Deuteronomy 28 and this falls right in line with the curses as well. I mean, I don't know why he got shot, why he might have gotten killed as well. It's also something on that as well to speak on. I don't know if he was in a gang violence, or maybe he got mistaken and shot for a op that this other gang is in opposition with, thought it was their op. I'm not sure, or maybe it's just someone in the family, or it could have just been on a deeper level, maybe a blood sacrifice. I don't know. I can't say, because there's niggas out here that would blood sacrifice, and they worship Satan. I don't know. It could have just been. It could have been made looked at as a random back to violence, but really it could have been on a deeper level than that, a sacrifice. I don't know. This is Deuteronomy 28 and verse. Let's see here. Let's see. 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, until thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Yahweh thy power. That's Lord in all capitals is Yahweh, the true Paleo Hebrew name. If you don't call on that name, you will not be saved. If you do not believe that's the only one true name, other than Jesus, Jehovah, whatever else, what a bullshit name you think it is, Yahweh. Last time, like yesterday, it was some young niggas that don't really know the truth. Just some 2/3 ultimately, man. Passing by the camp, and then they say Yahweh, and then the brother told them the real name, and then they just mocked at the name, like, because that name isn't really known, so that they mock at the name. Like I said that before. That's what the fuck they do. Moreover, all these creatures that come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. Yeah, so we all disobey the commandments. That's why all this evil is brought upon us. And to the elect, ultimately, it's on them worse than you 2/3. Because 2/3 niggas accept it here. 2/3 nigga can move on his day here. But then there's also a precursor to that too. A 2/3 nigga can get put to death sooner than the next. And ultimately, Antoine, if he didn't have received his word of this truth, unless he comes back in the next life, I don't know if he's. Hey, ultimately, he could have just been a 2/3. Only the Lord knows that. Sloggy, only the Lord knows that. But I mean, that's just because that's just majority of our people, I guess. Yeah, so for that, if that offends, I guess. But once again, this word is. Prophets are gonna come off offensive. I mean, once again, we just bear with us, I guess. If we go off, I guess, or make you feel some type of way. I mean, but if it's in the spirit, you get cussed out. I mean, you gotta accept your cursing. At the same time, that's what a lot of our people don't understand, because they're not spiritual. They can't see it. They may not understand chastisement when you come into this truth, come into this thing. Like this young nigga that, and not just to. Hopefully this just ain't coming off like whatever, like bullshit, but if I may add, and Lord willing, this doesn't come off the wrong way, but to the elect listening, ultimately do it for them. But yeah, like this young cat came by the other day. He was just, looked like he was just 20, barely 20 years old. Doesn't really know about life yet like that. He was just barely 20 years old, and came by the camp yesterday, and since I had to work today and whatnot, but I came by the camp yesterday on Friday, and so me and brother was out there. The 3-hour long camp. Since we were out there that long, I guess he stopped by, and he was like, "Yeah, I've been inquiring about the end times." And now he said he believed in the name, he believed that Esau was going to be under us. Deuteronomy 4:7, Deuteronomy 7:4, or I think it's 6, 7 and 6, and yeah, 4 and 7. Somewhere around those chapters and verse, somewhere in those verses in those chapters there, about how we're above these other nations and the Lord set us apart. Once we keep these laws, we shall be blessed above all the nations. Say he believes that and whatnot, but I mean, ultimately, we'll see. I mean, Jakes has come up and received his word and act like they received it. If you do nothing with it, it's gonna be on you. I mean, time will tell. I mean, he came up respectful, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if he's not the elect. He's gonna get judged. The Lord may want to judge his ass a certain way. That's all up to the Lord. His name is Yahweh once again. But usually a nigga doesn't receive the name, doesn't respect the name really, because he doesn't receive it, only Israelites, starting with the 144,000 to be the governing bodies and the echelons of the kingdom next to come, the eternal one. And that's usually what happens. But yeah. Yeah, and brother was explaining to him the curses here, like we're cursed. That's why Jake is all into. Usually, you don't see East Indians gang banging. You don't see white people, Edomites, Caucasians gang banging. Those that do gang bang and look like white dudes, like Eminem, for example, Justin Bieber. Even though Justin Bieber is really a woman, that's not a dude. That's not a male. That's female. You can tell it through his body, her body. But yeah, ultimately, those are Israelites. You can tell. I mean, if Jake can resonate with them like on that level, well, then they're like on that level. Well, then they're Jakes. They're Israelites. And we don't say all white people are Edomites. That's just silly. Obviously, the scriptures say that Abram is a cake not turned. When you take a pancake, you put it on one side and keep it there, but you still haven't turned the other side. As that's Abram is a cake not turned. The Lord is saying his people are going to come out looking a bit more on a pale side, on a paler tone. So yeah, man. 66, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and nights, and shall have none assurance of thy life. That's certain. That's why what happened to that brother there, that Israelite there. He got shot and killed. And that's a lot of Jakes. A lot of Jakes just got a schizophrenia or paranoia. 67. In the morning shalt thou say, would God it were evening, and at evening thou shalt say, would God it were morning. For the fear of thine heart, wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. And eye there goes into your heart as well. So basically, for the sight of thine hearts, where you meditate in your heart, what you think about in your heart, certain emotions and things you go through can make you feel like, damn, I wish I was in bed already. I wish it was night already, and I was in bed already. So at morning you would wish it was evening, though, and then in the morning in evening you wish it was morning. That's just how cursed we're gonna be. Once again, we're going through these curses. 22. The Lord shall smite thee with consumption and with a fever and with an inflammation and with an extreme burning, and with the sword and with blasting and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou be destroyed. Going into sicknesses, various sicknesses, and that's going into heartburn, inflammation, fever. It's diseases that we get here in America, especially now more so than before, because of the foods that are just chemicalized. 25. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Yeah, that's the other nations, man. These nations mock us, they scoff us. We got back in the ancient, back a couple hundred years ago, that was a physical type of war where Gad was fleeing from his enemies in battle because he was getting fucked up, and a lot of Gadites bodies was dropping due to those massacres and Calvaries and Edomites, certain Jakes in those armies too. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways. The Aztecs, the Incas, they got taken down one way, and then they got scattered off separate ways, different directions, to the point until they got destroyed by our enemies, the Edomites, the East heathens, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. And so that's what happened too. We got removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Some northern kingdom went into Spain, brought back to Europe, where they didn't even recognize the language or the customs there, or their masters there, the Edomites there. A lot of the Judah from southern kingdom in Africa and their tribes got taken down and destroyed, also scattered through the Puritans and Spaniards, even, and their guns and military weapons, fire, and then brought back all the way down here to America to work as the slaves. And then the Amalek decided to let the Edomites start calling them white, blacks calling them black, and that's what brought that heavy ass racism that was to fulfill prophecy later on, and as it reads in Genesis 27, that Esau shall take off our yoke off his neck and get the fatness of the earth. And if you look at today, these Edomites, all these CEOs, they're all Edomites. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, they're all Edomites. Sam Altman, all these CEOs, the CEO of Exxon, the CEO of Uber, the DoorDash, and all their CEOs, man. When you look into basically the kings and who rules and who governs nowadays, your modern day Democrats, really your modern day Democrats, senators, are really your because that's who was the most powerful in the ancient world. And even behind the scenes, you had with certain rulers, like in the movie, they show you about those about to die. They show you Domitian. He had heavy ties with one of those entertainment guides, I guess, CEOs of that. They didn't call it CEOs back then, but he was in the movie. They show you that guy. That I'll pull up a photo of him if I can. If you ever go back and if you ever get a chance and watch that show on Amazon Prime, it might be on Peacock too, but it's a decent show. It shows you just the corruptness of these Edomites, just the base nature of how these Edomites was moving back then. All in that folly, the gladiatorial games and Colosseum and whatnot. But basically, the dude in charge of all those games and whatnot, he was they was also cheating and shit too. He would cheat. He would get paid underhand money and shit. And he was one. He helped not spoil it, but he basically helped Domitian to get into power, basically. Because Domitian was all about those gladiatorial games. That was basically his god, his god, yeah. And that's like today with your CEOs of the NFL, football. They have high tie elites with your top elites, your banking families, Rockefellers, Rothschilds. Because Donald Trump ain't no king. He's really not in charge. He's really not in charge. He's not the one taking over. It's the ones been taken over is your banking elites families, man. Your oligarchs, you call them. The ones you don't hear about because that's how much power they have. When you have that much power nowadays, that you don't gotta show your face. That's how Amalek move, because Edom would show his face back in ancient Rome. Nowadays the Edomites really ain't in the power seat like that. Really, it's Amalek. That's why in Numbers 23 it talks about Amalek is the first of the nations, basically those fake Jews over there. Because the Rothschilds they were basically Jews, but they were basically not the real Jews. They took that identity and changed it up and used that to sneak in to get into power, because they knew Jacob was fucking them up, and Jacob was killing them, and he would have killed them for coming up, because back in that time, Jacob knew who Esau was and was keeping him from getting in power. Now Esau is in power with Amalek ultimately. He's keeping us from power because he knows who we are. That's how it's always been in history. You think that's changed? No, it hasn't changed. It's just that the prophecy is that says that roughly paraphrasing, I might pull it up as well. Oh, that in Jeremiah 17, Israel shall fall from their inheritance. You shall fall from your inheritance that I gave thee. Basically, Jeremiah 17:4. And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee, and I'll cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. Yeah, so we're gonna discontinue from our culture, our who we are, and that's Jake today. But at the same time, through Alba Bibbins, our elder, who was Elijah, he came into power, as it states in Malachi, the 3rd chapter, that he would turn the hearts of the sons to their fathers, the hearts of the fathers and whatnot back, and you would have a good amount of a good handful of, which is the elect, the 144,000, the 1/3 that waking back up.
Northeast. I'm Matt Whitcoat, your Grand Rapids reporter. GRPD is investigating a double shooting that happened on my neighborhood's northeast side. One person was killed and another one is fighting for their life. One neighbor tells me that they heard about 15 gunshots go off.
If it's going to turn out to be some senseless act, it angers me. You know, and I think of what we can do as an agency to try to limit these senseless acts, and what we can do as a community.
This is a scene here on Madison Street Northeast and Plymouth Avenue, just south of Plymouth Christian School. The chief of police says this happened around 9 p.m. Thursday. He says officers found 2 people in the silver SUV. Neighbor says they heard 15 gunshots, all of it happening so quickly. Police say one was dead when they got there, and first responders took the other person right to the hospital. This is the 9th fatal shooting in the city this year. The chief says they're still looking for the person who pulled the trigger. He says they're going to find them.
We have great detectives here that do a great job of investigating the incident, and I want people to be accountable for their actions, right? So this is a senseless act that didn't need to happen, and you know, our investigators are working around the clock to find the person or persons that are involved, so and they won't stop till they do.
GRPD is asking anyone with information to call them. You can. Northeast side. One person was killed and another one is fighting for their life. One neighbor tells me that they heard about 15 gunshots go off.
If it's going to turn out to be some senseless act, it angers me. You know, and I think of what we can do as an agency to try to limit these senseless acts, and what we can do as a community.
This is a scene here on Madison Street Northeast and Plymouth Avenue, just south of Plymouth Christian School. The chief of police says this happened around 9 p.m. Thursday. He says officers found 2 people in the silver SUV. Neighbor says they heard 15 gunshots.
Yeah, so who knows? It could be some crazy person. They think they saying it's a senseless act. I don't know if that's true or not. It could be gang related. I don't know. I don't know. They didn't say that's. He said it could be a senseless act. He's getting to investigate it still. But basically, it just shows you, man. Like, spirits crave for vengeance. I don't know. I don't know. I know I'm not in charge of that. I don't have any fucking ties to any of this shit. For me to even do anything like that, and the scriptures mention not to kill, so I wouldn't just kill just to kill. Now, if I have to defend myself, and then the time we're gonna come into, if the Lord allows me and puts the Spirit in me to defend myself and kill whoever it is that thinks they're gonna kill my ass, one of us is gonna have to go. You be the guess of who's gonna go. We know the Lord, when He goes to war, the Lord always wins wars. Basically. Yeah, how his record is, I don't know, 1,000 to 0. Because even if Israel loses the war, it's still Lord still wanted that winner to be the winner. He wanted, if Esau whipped our ass in the war, and ultimately he did many times too. It's because the Lord wanted him to whip our ass. In a way, it's still kind of like the Lord lost, because if we lose, the Lord's losing. But it's as well. He's also got to judge us. Like a father has to judge his son. You're gonna care if he loses to get the point across. He's gonna get the point across. This is how a father is. We can't be a friend. A father can't be a friend. There's a difference. If you're a friend to your son, that means you're not gonna judge him or tell him not to smoke weed and take his weed, throw the shit in the fucking toilet. If you see potential in him, if you don't sense potential in him, and that's just the way he is, you're gonna notice that, and just let him be him. But you're gonna tell him to get the fuck out of your house. That's what you want to do. All right, I'll do that. Just make sure you get the fuck out of the house. Then it's not gonna run down here. So 4 and 6. My people are stored for lack of knowledge, because I rejected knowledge. I always rejected that I should be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power. I always forget thy children. And that's why I don't know what that is. That could have been Jake's. I don't know if that was Jake's. I mean, Jake is destroyed for lack of knowledge. So that's what's gonna happen there. And it could have just been a spirit created for vengeance. But I do have some videos here I wanted to play. Got a couple of these videos I still gotta make videos on. A couple of them, but try to see this here. Change the channel. Damn, I can't. What happened there? Oh shit.
Achilles and Troy is one of the most divisive casting choices in really cinema history. The critics called him wooden, but audiences made it the 8th highest grossing film of 2004. Pitt also later himself said that he hated making Troy. But the truth of all of it is actually fascinating. See, how did he end up in the film? Brad Pitt had pulled out of another Warner Brothers project as part of his studio obligations. He was essentially assigned to Troy. He wasn't the dream casting, he was just a solution to a problem. So he arrived at this project out of passion, but out of obligation. But what he did next, the part doesn't give him credit, so he gave it everything anyway. He trained for a full year, he quit smoking, he put on muscle specifically for the role's physicality, working with a personal trainer, a nutritionist, a martial arts instructor, and a yoga coach to build not just a body, but a way of moving. So production moves to Mexico, where, ironically, he tears an Achilles tendon filming a battle scene. So filming stops for weeks. And the performance he ends up giving is divisive, because Achilles is genuinely hard to play. He's supposed to be semi-divine, he's faster, stronger, and more fearless than anyone else on the battlefield. And so Pitt's solution to that is to make him move differently. To have Achilles fight like a dancer rather than a soldier. So in every sequence he's fighting, he's leaping, spinning. He's attacking with grace more than power. But it's not accidental. That's really what a year of training does. See, he put in a deliberate effort, and it worked. And it was also Brad Pitt himself who specifically pushed for Eric Bana to play Hector, the only character in the film who could genuinely stand opposite Achilles and make that climactic duel feel real. But later, Brad Pitt expressed genuine frustration with how the film turned out, specifically that it became a commercial product rather than the more personal film that he was hoping to make. He said he really couldn't get out of the center of the frame, and that working with David Fincher before had spoiled him for more conventional storytelling. But the casting of Achilles was always going to be impossible. The character's not human in the way other characters are. He's a force, he's a myth. Whether Brad Pitt pulled it off completely depends on what you think that performance requires. But you have to admit that what he put into it, the preparation, the physical commitment, the year of training, it's anything but wooden. Maybe it just wasn't the right film, but regardless, what do you think of Brad Pitt as Achilles?
So Colin, just I found I likened this onto the truth when I saw this video, because it's like and it's not that we were gonna hate it. You're eventually going to enjoy it. You're like Tahar says, enjoy. Remember Tahar said this years back. Learn to enjoy catching the hell. Now I know that's gonna sound like what the fuck did he just say? Like, how do you even do that? What is he talking about, basically, right?
Brad Pitt as Achilles in Troy is one of the most divisive casting choices in really cinema history. The critics called him wooden, but audiences made it the 8th highest grossing film of 2004. Pitt also later himself said that he hated making Troy. But the truth of all of it is actually...
Like, we're going to hate certain things at first, I guess. And then you still kind of like can fall into that weak ass pattern, weak nature. You hate it. But then you're like, if Yahushua is dealing with you, eventually if you're the elect, you're going to tap to the spirit. Well, actually, actually this shit doesn't feel that bad. Actually, that hell, it just does something to you. Is the facts? It's the truth. The truth.
Fascinating. See, how did he end up in the film? Brad Pitt had pulled out of another Warner Brothers project as part of his studio obligations. He was essentially assigned to Troy. He wasn't the dream casting.
He was in the dream casting. Like, he wasn't the top chosen one. They might have been talk shit about how he wasn't gonna play it right. And that's like certain your family members or naysayers, gainsayers you may run into when you first come in, and still when you come in, but
he was just a solution to a problem. So he arrived at this project out of passion, out of obligation. But what he did next, the part doesn't get enough credit, so he gave it everything anyway.
He gave it anything anyway, man. And that's how you gotta be in this truth anyways, man. You may not even expected this calling to be fall on your lap, to have the lot fall on you. Here you go, you got 50,000 niggas in this whole city. The Lord wanted a lot to fall on me to receive this truth at this point in time, in this set time, to receive it. I didn't choose it. The Lord chose me. I mean, I don't know. But since I have it, I'm going to do all I can with it then. If I have no choice. And then eventually you're going to enjoy it. Like, you ain't just going to hate it or still hate it.
He trained for a full year. He quit smoking. He put on muscle.
He quit smoking. Put on muscle.
Specifically for the role of physicality, working with a personal trainer, a nutritionist.
You even working with a personal trainer, nutritionist. He had to get his diet right, his physique right. He quit smoking. I think it says he quit drinking.
Everything anyway. He trained for a full year. He quit smoking. He put on muscle specifically for the role of physicality, working with a personal trainer, a nutritionist, a martial arts instructor, and a yoga coach.
Yeah, even a yoga coach.
To build not just a body.
Going into those that may talk shit about me doing yoga, doing stretches. Shit, so that's it. Brad Pitt in the movie Troy.
But a way of moving.
And even when you go into your Marines and your top the Delta Force, ultimately the Delta Force, and they're training. They don't train your weights. They don't build muscle. Muscle is just a fucking flex. It's just a physical bigger size. That's it. The Delta Force is way more badass than any of your bodybuilders. They're built to stand. And if we're gonna go on stamina for stamina, Delta Force is gonna win. If we're gonna go off strength for strength, even then the Delta Force will still probably win. If we're gonna go discipline for discipline, the Delta Force will whip ass.
So production moves to Mexico, where, ironically, he tears his Achilles tendon filming a battle scene. So filming stops for weeks. And the performance he ends up giving is divisive, because Achilles is genuinely hard to play. He's supposed to be Mexico, where put on muscle specifically for the role's physicality, working with a personal trainer, a nutritionist, a martial arts instructor, and a yoga coach to build not just a body, but a way of moving. So production moves to Mexico, where, ironically, he tears his Achilles tendon filming a battle scene. So filming stops for weeks. And the performance he ends up giving is divisive, because Achilles is genuinely hard to play. He's supposed to be semi-divine, he's faster, stronger, and more fearless than anyone else on the battlefield. And so Pitt's solution to that is to make him move differently. To have Achilles fight like a dancer rather than a soldier. So in every sequence he's fighting and he's spinning, he's attacking with grace more than power.
And when you go into this battle scene that they're playing on the screen in the movie Troy, that's one of the best. They say that might be one of the best hand-to-hand combat battle scenes of all movies of all time. Basically, that would be one of them. So Brad Pitt, like, he didn't want to play this role, but he ended up nailing it better than anyone else probably would have, and that's just the fact. So I mean, that's gonna be how the elect is gonna be with their role that Yahweh has been bestowed on us, Lord's willing on us.
But it's not accidental. That's really what a year of training does. See, he put in a deliberate effort, and it worked. And it was also Brad Pitt himself who specifically pushed for Eric Bana to play Hector, the only character in the film who could genuinely stand opposite Achilles and make that climactic duel feel real. But later, Brad Pitt expressed genuine frustration with how the film turned out, specifically that it became a commercial product rather than the more personal film that he was hoping to make. He said he really couldn't get out of the center of the frame, and that working with David Fincher before had spoiled him for more conventional storytelling. But the casting of Achilles was always going to be impossible. The character's not human in the way other characters are. He's a force, he's a myth. Whether Brad Pitt pulled it off completely depends on what you think that performance requires. But you have to admit that what he put into it, the preparation, the physical commitment, the year of training, it's anything but wooden. Maybe it just wasn't the right film, but regardless, what do you think of Brad Pitt as Achilles?
So here you go. They got this big ass, strong, light skinned dude. He got taken down by a dude that's 155. I don't know who that other dude is. The bigger dude. Maybe he's a football player, but the point is I think he's of UFC. Yeah, basically he still couldn't take down this. I assume he's a wrestler. So yeah, it just shows you basically how sizes and everything. King David was he was the smallest. He didn't even have his man body yet. Basically, when he was chosen by Samuel didn't even think it would be David the Lord would choose, but David, he had to tell Samuel even that I do not look at the physical appearance, I look at the inward parts, because ultimately the Lord knew that his heart was going to be toward him. So it doesn't matter what your physical body is. The Lord will use you if you're his elect, he will use you in that time and that day to take down big niggas, big fucking enemies, big ass Goliaths, champions at war. And this has happened before, and it can happen again. Even David with the stone and the sling, that was spiritual power right there. That was your faith. Still spiritual power. And that's what it all starts with. So I mean, with that, maybe I'll play one more video, and that would be the point of the lesson here. Going into basically some privacy right now. What's happening? This video says McDonald's reports slowing sales. So McDonald's having slow sales. They're not busting as they're used to with their food. It's not popping as it used to because people are broke. People don't got enough. People are still living paycheck to paycheck. Even us with these jobs that we have. I don't know. Most brothers, man, we're living paycheck to paycheck. Brothers ain't. If brother's car breaks down, he don't got enough to fix the car, and then enough to still pay the bill, and enough to still get that extra dainties that he has. If brother's been regularly getting that, at least from what he's earning, maybe just his regular shit at that point. If the car breaks down and the bills, then you won't have enough for extra day for a treat or whatever type of meal you'll make or something like that, man. Fancy shit. Yeah, we don't got that type of money to go out there like that. And then on vacation, if you're a woman, especially in these times right now, where the Lord has us, we don't even have that in our mindset if we're in the right spirit for all that shit. So we're just cursed. We're still cursed. We got bags with holes in them. I looked at my paycheck today, and it wasn't really that much. Now it's probably because I didn't work that many days. And then in some jobs, certain jobs, you got to worry about if you get enough hours. And then even then, you may not even. And then even then, you're gonna have to bust your ass to that money because you.
Now to McDonald's reporting slowing
sales.
sales.
A strain on your body. But this is going back to the point. The McDonald's reports slowing sales. This was recent.
As it attempts to serve cost-conscious consumers have failed to meet expectations. Elizabeth Schulze is back with those details. Good morning again, Elizabeth.
Good morning again, Robin. McDonald's is warning about what it calls a challenging consumer environment. Sales at its U.S. restaurants from April through June grew at the slowest pace in more than a year. The fast food giant had rolled out this big slate of deals to try to attract diners who are frustrated with high prices. But McDonald's admitted that some of those deals just fell flat. So, for example, it launched an under $3 menu in April. Only about two-thirds of its franchises actually end up offering the menu at suggested prices. McDonald's CEO says all the various promotions that it offered at the same time led to confusion for staff and for customers, adding that it is tough to break through when you have that many messages out there. We know that these fast food wars have gotten very heated with chains like Burger King, Wendy's, Subway, all offering competing deals. But worth noting, guys, a new AP North poll that was out this week found that more than half of Americans have cut down on eating out in order to pay for other. Fast food giant had rolled out this big slate of deals to try to attract diners who are frustrated with high prices. But McDonald's admitted that some of those deals just fell flat. So, for example, it launched an under $3 menu in April. Only about two-thirds of its franchises actually end up offering the menu at suggested prices. West restaurants from April through June grew at the slowest pace in more than a year. The fast food giant had rolled out this big slate of deals to try to attract diners who are frustrated with high prices. But McDonald's admitted that some of those deals just fell flat. So, for example, it launched an under $3 menu in April. Only about two-thirds of its franchises actually end up offering the menu at suggested prices. McDonald's CEO says all the various promotions that it offered at the same time led to confusion for staff and for customers, adding that it is tough to break through when you have that many messages out there. We know that these fast food wars have gotten very heated with chains like Burger King, Wendy's, Subway, all offering competing deals. But worth noting, guys, a new AP North poll that was out this week found that more than half of Americans have cut down on eating out in order to pay for other necessities, guys.
More than half. All right.
More than half Americans have cut off its going out, skipping on that to save on essentials, man. Now that's not even how it was just a couple of years back. 7-8 years back, around 2018, early 2019. That's not even how it was. Jake was bringing in his goods in every week, each day for the week. Now Jake is skipping on extra shit. This is just showing you closer to what's gonna come. It's about to come to pass. Second Address 13, 31. One Shiner takes fight another because of how crazy it's gonna be out here. A lack of everything people need is gonna be out here. Second Address 6 Second Address. Yeah, so you're 6 and 22. 4-star houses that still gonna be found empty. Second Address 15, 19. For the lack of bread. They shall fighting one another for a lack of bread. Roughly paraphrasing. Taking off by Khan, man. And Revelation, I'm gonna get the one here in Revelation, and this pretty much should be the point. I think it's Revelation 9 and 6. Actually, I start at it's Revelation 6 and 5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld in lo a black horse, basically the black, red, and pale horse represent plagues. Some of them disease, some of them by death by the sword, some of them are famine, some of them a mix of everything, like the pale horse. It's a mix of everything. Red horse is more so the sword. World War III is gonna come. That's gonna be what's gonna represent the red horse, the sword. Black horse is the famine. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. This is Esau, what he's doing. Amalek too. Amalek was the son of Esau, but Amalek is over Esau today. Technically, who is his father, basically. Edom would technically be older and more as far as his progenitor. He really should be above, right? Amalek is above Esau, and that's in a way that was his judgment for what he did as the Romans, what he did as the Greeks, and already ruling as the Romans and the Greeks to balance it out. And that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the fourth beast say, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see, thou heard not the oil and the wine." Now, when you go into that, if you want to get more technical, I might as well back it up with 2 Kings to get deeper into it, and then I'll go into back into Revelation. What we just brought out there, 2 Kings 7 and 16. Then the people went out and plundered the camp of the Arameans. So a seal of the finest flour, I think this is in the GNT, sold for a shekel, and 2 seals of barley sold for a shekel, as the Lord had said. Now this was going into, when you go in the earlier chapter, in the 6th chapter, this is going into those 2 women. The infamous story our brothers already know about, where those 2 women go to the king at that time was Ahaz or something like that. He was basically the son of Ahab. I know that he was Jeroboam, I think, or the son, either the son of Ahab or the son of Jeroboam. Well, actually, Jeroboam comes first, then Ahab, then his son, basically. It's like it. Yeah, so this was his son, and Elijah caused that famine. This is the economy in the 2 Kings 7 improved from 2 Kings 6 by essentially ending a devastating war-induced hyperinflation and famine. Yeah, because when you go into it, a donkey's head was sold for 50 shekels of silver, and then a cab, or basically a cup of dub shit, literally dub's dung, which is shit, was sold for even more, I think. And those weren't even lawful foods, so just showing you how they was wicked and they was getting judged. Then the Lord came through for them, but this time it's not going to be the same way. Overnight food prices plummeted and near starvation levels to total market normalcy and abundance. So overnight the Lord brought it back to the norm. In today's terms, this is equivalent of basic groceries crashing in price from a catastrophic emergency high to a discount bin steal within 24 hours. The 2 Kings 6 economy, extreme scarcity during the Syrian siege of Samaria. The city faced crippling inflation and starvation. The cost of meat, a donkey's head, scraps from an unclean, undesirable animal, sold for 80 silver shekels. A cost of trash, a small amount of dub's dung. Dung is shit. Likely a slang term for cheap, low-grade seed husks or wild onions. No, that was actually shit. Or it could have been that. I don't know. Who knows? Sold for 5 silver shekels. Modern parallel. If a normal basket of food previously cost 50, hyperinflation and supply chain collapse sent the price of basic sustenance skyrocketing to astronomical levels, forcing citizens into desperation and even cannibalism. And in that case, it did have cannibalism. And I went into certain accounts too a couple days back where in the series I was trying to make about the cannibalism. And in one account, you had the siege of 1300s. Oh, and you look at the siege of Leningrad, where in World War, I think when they was fighting the Nazis, basically, I think that was World War One. Germany was with U.S. and in the U.S., this dude was telling his story about he was with his brother in the U.S. Army over there, sent to Russia to protect them from Germany. And then Russia, Germany was besieging them. Hitler was besieging that place, Leningrad, in Russia, which was basically the second largest city in Russia, capital. And they were there with their allies, the Russians, and apparently, France too was there, allied with U.S. And the dude said how France, their allies, who was supposed to be their allies, basically ended up eating their brother, and they looked like zombies. They actually ended up looking like literal zombies. And that was a true story that I saw on YouTube that I happened to listen to. So that's just showing you how basically that wasn't too long ago, and that's going to be easily happening again. And to the point where the guys also mentioned how him and his brother were eating bats, rats, even insects, nasty shit that you wouldn't want to eat. And in another account, they mentioned how the famine was so bad that by the time they had food and they ate it, they just died. And it basically reminds you of you get something that's super dry, and then you just wet it, put water on it. It's too much to handle. It's too much minerals now and nutrients to handle that it just ends up tearing. That's how the body was in that account. And there's a 2 Kings 7. The miraculous deflation. After the enemy fled, abandoning their provisions, the prophet Elijah prophesied that the economy would crash back to normal, affordable levels within 24 hours. Choice flour dropped to 1 silver shekel for a large measure, about 6 quarts. Barley grain for the poor, sold at an even greater surplus, yielding 12 quarts for 1 silver shekel. Modern parallel. The divine deflation represents a total market reset in today's economy. It would be the equivalent of seeing panic-priced unaffordable groceries such as $300 for a carton of eggs suddenly and permanently drop to a highly accessible price such as $3. The very next day, making food universally affordable again. And so that just gives you an idea of how it's going to be. A carton of eggs is going to end up costing you $300. So with that's the point. Hopefully this video was edifying. Shalom, and until next time, Lord willing, Abba.